In the heart of the vast Eurasian steppes, where the wind whispers tales of forgotten empires, a force of nature was born. A name that would echo through millennia, spoken in fear and awe. Attila the Hun. This is the story of his rise, his reign, and the shadow he cast across the world. Around 406 AD. In the untamed lands beyond the Danube, a child was born into the nomadic Hunnic tribes. We know little of Attila's early years, but we know the world he was born into, a harsh landscape that forged warriors of unparalleled skill. The Huns were masters of the horse and the composite bow, a deadly combination that made them the most feared cavalry on earth. They lived in the saddle, their entire society geared for mobility and war. It was in this crucible of constant conflict and survival that a future king was shaped. By 434 AD, the Hunnic Confederation had become a formidable power on the fringes of Europe. Leadership fell to two brothers, Attila and Bleda. Together, they ruled a burgeoning empire, a union of tribes bound by strength and tribute. Their early reign was marked by consolidation, bending neighboring peoples to their will and looking south towards the glittering prize of the Roman world. The Eastern Roman Empire, with its capital at Constantinople, saw the growing threat and sought to placate it with gold. In a treaty, they agreed to pay the Huns an annual tribute of 700 pounds of gold, a staggering sum meant to buy peace. But for Attila, it was merely an admission of weakness. It was a sign that Rome was rich and ripe for the taking. The uneasy peace did not last. Attila, ever ambitious, saw opportunity in every Roman misstep. He accused the empire of violating the treaty, of harboring fugitives, and of desecrating Hunnic graves. These were pretexts for war. In the 440s, the Hunnic storm broke over the Balkans. City after city fell. Naissus, Serdica, Marcianople, proud Roman centers, were sacked and burned. The Roman field armies sent to stop them were annihilated. The Huns were an avalanche, unstoppable and utterly devastating. They fought with a ferocity the Romans had never seen, a whirlwind of arrows and blades that left nothing but ruin in its wake. Bleda, who may have favored a more cautious approach, was now out of the picture. By 445 AD, he was dead, leaving Attila as the sole undisputed ruler of the Huns. Now, nothing stood in his way. With absolute power, Attila's ambition soared. He was no longer just a tribal chieftain. He was the emperor of a vast nomadic empire that stretched from the Ural Mountains to the Rhine River. He turned his gaze back to Constantinople, demanding more. The tribute was tripled. The Romans, humiliated and terrified, called him Flagellum Dei, the Scourge of God. They believed he was a divine punishment sent to chastise a sinful world. The name stuck. It perfectly captured the terror he inspired. A force that seemed beyond human. A cataclysm sent from heaven itself. Attila embraced this reputation. He understood the power of fear. His court was a place of stark contrasts of immense barbarian wealth plundered from across the continent. Yet he himself lived simply, eating from a wooden plate, his demeanor grim and imposing. He was the embodiment of his people's warrior spirit. But the East was not enough. In 451 AD, Attila turned west, assembling a colossal army of Huns and their vassal peoples Goths, Gepids, Alans, and more. He crossed the Rhine into Gaul. His objective, to shatter the Western Roman Empire. He swept through the land, leaving a trail of devastation. Metz was razed to the ground. Paris was spared, according to legend, only by the prayers of Saint Genevieve. The Roman general Idius, a man who knew the Huns well and had once been their ally, scrambled to form a coalition. He united his Roman legions with their traditional enemies, the Visigoths under King Theodoric. On the Catalonian plains, near modern-day Châlons-en-Champagne, the two greatest armies of the age finally met. The Battle of the Catalonian Plains was one of the bloodiest in ancient history. It was a chaotic, brutal clash of civilizations. The Huns charged, their arrows clouding the sky. The Romans and Goths held their ground, a wall of shields and spears. Theodoric, the Visigoth king, was killed in the fray, but his death only enraged his warriors, who fought with renewed fury. As night fell, the battlefield was a charnel house. Neither side could claim a clear victory, but Attila had been stopped. His aura of invincibility was broken. He retreated back across the Rhine, his army battered but not broken. The Scourge of God had been checked, but he was far from finished. The very next year, in 452 AD, Attila returned, this time striking at the heart of the Western Empire, Italy itself. He descended from the Alps, sacking Aquileia so completely that it was said no one could find where the city had once stood. Milan and other northern cities fell. Panic gripped the peninsula. The road to Rome lay open. The Emperor Valentinian III fled. It seemed nothing could stop Attila from plundering the Eternal City. But then something strange happened. At the Mincio River, Attila was met not by an army, but by a delegation led by Pope Leo I. What was said between the Hunnic king and the Roman pontiff is lost to history. Was it the Pope's commanding presence, a promise of even greater tribute? Or were Attila's own forces, ravaged by plague and famine, simply unable to continue? Whatever the reason, Attila turned back. Rome was saved, and the legend of Pope Leo turning away the barbarian king became a cornerstone of papal authority for centuries to come. In 453 AD, the world held its breath. What would Attila do next? Another campaign against Constantinople. A final, decisive assault on the West. The answer was none. The Scourge of God, the man who had brought two empires to their knees, died not on the battlefield, but in his bed. On the night of his wedding to a new bride, he suffered a severe nosebleed and, in his drunken state, choked to death. The terror that had gripped Europe for a decade was suddenly over. His warriors, finding him dead, mourned in their own way. They cut their faces and hair, weeping not with tears, but with the blood of men, for so great a king. He was buried in secret, in a nest of 3 coffins, one of gold, one of silver, and one of iron, and the slaves who dug his grave were killed to keep its location a secret forever. With Attila's death, his empire crumbled as quickly as it had risen. His sons fought over the inheritance, and their vassal tribes rose in rebellion. Within a generation, the Hunnic Empire had vanished from the map, but Attila's legacy endured. He was more than a conqueror. He was a catalyst. His invasions accelerated the final collapse of the Western Roman Empire and redrew the map of Europe, paving the way for the medieval kingdoms that would follow. For centuries, his name remained a byword for destruction, the ultimate barbarian. Yet, he was also a nation builder, a brilliant strategist, and a ruler who held a vast multicultural empire together through the sheer force of his will. He remains one of history's most compelling and terrifying figures, man who rose from the steps to challenge the world, and for a brief, violent moment, nearly won. History is filled with great conquerors, but few have ever inspired such universal dread. Attila the Hun remains a singular force, a testament to how one individual can shape the destiny of continents. To learn more about the lives and legacies that defined our world, make sure to subscribe to our channel. Thank you for watching.